Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back for our next video of this week where we talk about tools and technology. On Wednesday, we talked about how tools were things that help us and technology are the tools and ideas that we have. So we use science and we use technology and we use tools together to make our lives easier, to make things a little bit more efficient. But one of the questions that you might have is who uses this technology and who makes all of these things and who comes up with the ideas for tools. And so today we're going to find out by watching some videos from our really awesome platform, Discovery Ed. Remember, you can go to Discovery Ed through your Clever account, and you should be able to log on and check out all those different channels, check out different videos. We're going to watch some of them today. And you might be thinking, Miss Owen, I'm not old enough to talk about a career or a job that I'm going to have yet. But one of the coolest things about thinking about your career is that it focuses on things that you're interested in and things that you enjoy, and that you can start doing these things from the beginning. So if you really like science, or you really like math, or you really like reading, those are things that you should start thinking about now, because it shows us how important school is. We need to pay attention. We need to work hard. We need to be creative so that we are starting to learn and practice right now, so that when we choose a career or a job that we're going to have when we're adults, that you actually like it and that you're good at it and then you enjoy it every single day. So today we're going to talk about STEM careers because we are in science for this video. So STEM is science, technology, which we've been talking about, engineering, and math. So if you like any of those things, some of these careers might be pretty interesting to you. So this video is going to be a little bit different today. I'm just going to show you a couple of the examples of the videos that you might find on Discovery Ed. And it's going to show some different jobs that people have, that men and women have in technology, and how they use different tools every single day to make our lives easier, to help us, to make things run smoother. So we're going to see that today. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And before we start, we're going to watch an intro to careers video, and it's going to talk about choosing careers that interest us. And then we're going to look at 4 different people, men and women, who work in STEM careers. And we're going to watch a short little video. So most of them are between 2 and 4 minutes each. And we're going to talk a little bit about the tools and technology that they use to help all of us. So I'm going to try my best to make sure it shows all of them for you. There's a way that I can full screen. Here we go.
Come and join our adventure to inspire small minds, where they can wonder about, learn from, and share their experiences of the big wide world with Primary 2 explorers. Introduction to careers. The 4 explorers are having a day off today. Salim is cooking up a warm snack for everyone. Farida tends to a small garden they have planted. Ahmed is doing a painting of the landscape scenery. Hannah fixes a wooden chair they use. Sparky's here. They all gather around Sparky. Sparky loves the work they've been doing. The explorers tell Sparky that they like the camp, but they want to upgrade it to be more like a city. Sparky asks them how to help, and the explorers ask him to save a list of what professions and roles they need for the city. Sparky asks them how they can use their interests to help make the city. Farida wants to be a farmer as she learned about plants in school and helped a lot in taking care of the school's garden. Salim then points at Hannah, mentioning how great she is at fixing things. She would be an awesome carpenter. Ahmed doesn't know how he can use painting to help the city. Farida points out that he has an important role. He can draw a design of the city. Salim mentions that he loves to cook, so he could be the chef. Now the explorers have some professions. What else do they need? Let's start. Ahmed starts drawing, and the explorers help him by sharing their experiences. He starts by drawing houses and a hospital. They need to add doctors and nurses to the list of needed professions. Then Farida shares that they need a fire station and firefighters. Salim guides Ahmed to draw a school. They can't forget about teachers. Today, our explorers learned that all professions are equally important. And the perfect spot for each one of them is where his interest and passion lie.
All right, boys and girls. So that was a cute little video to start us off. And it was basically for children that wanted to create a city, and they all have things that they enjoy doing. One of them likes to build, one of them likes to draw, and some of them like to work with food and cooking. And so those are all really important roles for people to have in the community. And what's even more important is that it interests them. It's something they enjoy doing, because we don't want to have a job that we don't like. So all of these careers are equally important, and they all have to do a little bit with science or engineering and technology, and a lot of them were using tools, if you saw that. So one of them was using a hammer, one of them was using a knife to cut food, one of them was using a paintbrush, which helps him draw. So those are just some little things that we noticed in this video. Next, we're going to look at 4 adults that are in a STEM career right now, and they're all a little bit different. So we're going to watch these videos. Let's see. I had the video picked out. Let's do, we're going to watch just a second of this one. And he is a farmer.
Welcome to Bumpy's Farm. My name's Kyle Shutt with Discovery Education. I've got my friend Justin here with me. Hi, guys. We'll meet and learn. Whoa, we've got technology too. We'll meet and learn from Justin all the great stuff happening inside of this cab later in the show. We had the opportunity last fall to come here to Bumpy's Farm and to learn all about the harvest season. We're going to talk later on about the new planting going on right now in the spring. And of course, we'll talk about Earth Day, which was just yesterday. Can't wait for you to join us. Let's go hear from Brian Bomke, the owner and operator of Bomke Farms. Hi, I'm Brian Bomke. Welcome to Bomke's Farm. Our family roots run all the way back to President Abraham Lincoln, who is our family's lawyer back from my 3rd, 4th generation grandfathers. The farm consists of 4,500 acres of crops. 60% of that is corn, 40% of that is beans, and another 100 acres of pasture. We have approximately 42 head of cattle, and we also have 14,000 Christmas trees and 10 acres of pumpkins. Today you're going to meet some of my family members, my wife Kathy, my son Justin, my son-in-law Jason, and Ed, our agronomist. So come follow me, and I'll show you the farm.
I see a tool right here.
Jason, my son-in-law, is running the combine. Once he gets a full hopper, it will be taken to the semis, dumped on the semis, which we take to the local elevator. My son-in-law used to be a CAD engineer for Caterpillar, which helps him a lot understand all the technology we have in our combine now. So we're going to join Jason here to see what kind of technology we're using on the farm. I'm Jason Podarny, and I'm part owner-operator of Bomke Farms. And today we're harvesting soybeans. I became part of Bomke Farms about 4 years ago. Previously to that, I was a hydraulic test engineer, but grew up as a farm kid. So farming has been in my blood ever since I was born. I would ride in the tractor and the combine with my dad every time I got the chance. Every time I was at school, I hoped to come home and something would be going on. I'd like to show you a little of the combine that we're sitting in today. This is a basic machine. You have your steering wheel and you have your joystick that makes it go forward and backward depending on how fast you can go. I know there's a lot of buttons on here and they all do specific things, but they're all important to running this machine correctly. Up here you can see the monitor that I use to drive the machine very straight. The monitor down here shows the combine, what it is doing, and all my set points. Different crops require different set points as far as sifting out the fines, the big pieces and the little pieces, so all we get is pure grain in the tank. In the corner here, we have another monitor that shows me the power and the fuel that I'm using. We like machines that are very fuel efficient around here on this farm. So thanks for joining me today.
All right, boys and girls. And that one was really interesting because you got to look inside his combine. It's like a tractor, and he was harvesting or picking soybeans because that farm plants soybeans and corn, and they also had cattle on their farm as well as pumpkins and all that good stuff. So he was showing us all the technology and the tools that he uses in order to pick all of those soybeans that we would eventually use or eat. And so I think that's really cool that he had to study all of those things because, like he said, there's a lot of buttons on that machine and a lot of monitors and a lot of tools to use. And if you don't use them correctly, then your crops aren't going to turn out really well. So if that's something you're interested in, that is one career that you could choose that involves science and technology. The next one is a woman who's a technology instructor at a college, and she actually works on web development and cybersecurity. So remember we talked about how the internet and computers are really important and how some technology can hurt us. Well, this lady works really hard to make sure that we don't get viruses on our computer and that people are not hacking our information, stealing money, stealing things that are important to us. And so we're going to hear from her in just a second.
Hi, my name is Nkoma. I'm a technology instructor at Montgomery College. I teach some cybersecurity courses and Java bootcamp. I used to be a student at Montgomery College as well. I took the Cyber Advantage program for entry-level jobs in cybersecurity.
My name is Alton Henley. I'm the senior director here at the Information Technology Institute at Montgomery College. We don't think about it, especially if you grew up with it, but some people actually have to be taught to use the mouse and use the keyboard. They need to be taught what a file is and what a folder is. So we have classes at that level, and we go all the way up through programming, database design. In, like I said, our higher level classes, we're dealing with big data and things of that nature.
It was a 6-month program, and my instructor said, "Oh, you're actually pretty good at this stuff, and you might like teaching because you helped your classmates out so much. So what do you think?" And I said, "Yes." And so that's how we got started. The first class that I taught was in this classroom, and it was an 8-week Java course. I had 6 students, and I'm happy to be able to say of those 6 students, 3 of them completed and all of them are employed now. One of the things I tell the students is it's important to pay attention to detail, because if you don't do that, computers are based on the principle of garbage in, garbage out, right? So if you give it information and it's not the correct information, it won't give you the correct result.
Hi, I'm Daniela Sines, and I'm a student at the Java Web Development Bootcamp at Montgomery College. I think that it's a fantastic program, and it's really neat to be with my other students. We're all at different levels. Some of us who are more experienced can help the other ones that are less experienced. It's such a structured learning environment, so that's why I really enjoyed it. I think even though a lot is thrown at us, our TAs and FE are so supportive, and they've really got structured lesson plans for us to kind of guide us along. So we feel like there's at least a direction that we're going in, and I really appreciate that opportunity.
One thing I want to say is that it's not like it is in the movies. It's not just really easy and then you end up doing something in 2 hours that would take somebody else 50-something days to do. It requires dedication. So just because it doesn't work initially doesn't mean that you should give up. You keep at it until you get the desired result.
All right, so that one was really cool. She works on computers, and it was something that she was also really interested in, and she began helping other people. And then she became a teacher to teach different web development programs and different ways to keep our computers safe. And so that was something that she does as her career in STEM, in science, technology, engineering, and math. And so if you're really interested in computers, you can help with that stuff too. You could even work for the government. You could work for big corporations. You might even develop video games if you like making your own video games and things like that. So that is another career that you could have in STEM. The next one is a marine biologist. And so he's describing the importance of keeping the waterways in DC free of toxic materials. So if you remember our video from last week, how important it is to keep our environment clean so that we can use it, keeping our water healthy so that it doesn't get polluted. So I think he's going to talk a little bit about his career with working with science and technology as well.
My name's Trey Sherrod. I'm the interim Anacostia Riverkeeper. Come from North Carolina originally, where I studied marine biology and actually worked part-time in a couple of marine biology labs for UNC Wilmington. Born on the water, grew up on the water, and I like working on water. So around age 6 or 7, I gave up my childhood dream of paleontology. I left dinosaurs behind me. I decided I was going to be a marine biologist, and I did that. I work with Anacostia Riverkeeper. Our river gets dirty sometimes, and we have to get things out of it. The easiest way to clean water is to keep it clean from the beginning and not get stuff in it. But if you've got water that you need to clean up, whether it's your mess or somebody else's, you need to think about if it's physical stuff that you just have to get out, you can pick it up or filter it out. If it's something chemical, like salt, that you need to get undissolved, so maybe you're going to evaporate the water out, like a desalination plant. Or if it's something a little trickier, something that's more chemically into their water. Water that's actually okay can look really dirty, and water that looks perfect can actually be very toxic sometimes. Most of the things that can hurt us in water are not things we can see with our naked eye. Trash is ugly, but trash doesn't make you sick usually, unless it's been coated in something, or it's been treated with something, or it's covered in something that's going to get and make you sick. Keep asking questions. Keep getting outside.
All right, so we talked about the importance of keeping our water clean. So he uses one of the biggest tools that he uses every day is his boat so that he can get out in the water and make sure that the water stays clean. He also talked about some different types of technology and tools that he uses to make sure the water is clean. So he was saying even if the water looks dirty, it might be clean, or vice versa. It could look really clean, but it can make you sick if you drink it. So his job, his career, was working with science and technology to make sure that our water is clean and safe to drink and safe for the animals to live in. So that's another career that you could have. We're going to look at one more video, and this lady actually works in brain behavior and cognition psychology. So we're going to look a little bit about brain research. This is more of the science side, and she uses different types of tools and technology as well.
My name is Sadie Witkowski, and I work at Northwestern. I'm a graduate student here, getting my PhD, which is pretty exciting, in the area of psychology, but specifically under brain behavior and cognition. I kind of start with a general sense that I was interested in the brain and thought I wanted to go into a medical career. So I thought I wanted to be a neurosurgeon, which seemed like the only job you could do about brains. And so I joined this lab, and I realized that there's so many basic things that we don't understand yet about the brain that are way more interesting to me than trying to help sick people. In my personal opinion, I want to know those basic facts of life. And so I got involved in a career path, and now my job is research and figure out what is the brain doing during sleep. You get paid to do it. This is a cap that we use for recording EEG, which stands for electroencephalography. Basically, it means we're looking at signals coming through your skull, through your skin, that are the electrical signals of the neurons in your brain. So your brain is kind of like a mess of wires, but when all the signals are firing together, so when all the neurons are talking together, we can see signals using these caps, which collects that electrical activity. And it's not putting any electricity in her head, it's not zapping her at all, it's just the electricity that she herself is creating through her brain activity. And we pull this down and around, and we usually have them put their ears through these little slots. So this mess of wires is the actual electrodes, and as you can see, there's a little bit of metal right here, and that's what we're using to record the electricity from her brain. And each of them is labeled. That'll match these labels over here. Here. There we go. So this folds down. You can go and take a seat. Then we have a little foot bit. So you can lift your head. All right, and then you can turn off the light. And that's pretty much it. During your graduate student career, as you're a student, you do multiple experiments that you get to control. So I designed this big experiment that I was really excited about, and I thought was answering this deep question. And the experiment didn't work. But I realized that halfway through or about 3/4 of the way through the experiment, that I knew it wasn't going to work. But suddenly I had all these new questions based on it. So I was like, oh, if this didn't work, maybe I need to tweak something over here. Maybe I should try it with a different group of people. And so I've now come up with 3 different experiments that I will be running that are all based off this one failed experiment that was so frustrating, but has now given me this whole new line of things that I get to try and play around with. And so that's kind of exciting, even though at the time it did not feel like it at all. There's no right path to get to where you want to be, so don't worry about only taking the really hard science classes. Don't worry if math is really hard for you. It was personally hard for me. You can still end up doing really cool, groundbreaking research if that's what interests you.
All right, and the last one was really interesting. I saw some of the tools and technology that she was using. She was using the little cap to put on the girl's head, which measured the electrical activity in her brain. So that was something that people didn't know anything about. A long time ago, people probably didn't know that our brain created that electricity and that we could look at it on a computer. And so a scientist invented something like that. And that's part of our technology that we use now so that we can answer harder questions. And one thing that I thought was really interesting that she kind of laughed about was that she had this big science experiment that she worked on for a really long time and it didn't work. And remember, as scientists, that's okay. Sometimes when our experiments don't work, we actually get a lot of answers from that and we find ways to tweak or change our experiment because that's part of the scientific method. It's part of our process is to fail. It's not always going to go right. And so now she has this really cool job, this career in science and technology, and she's learning about the brain, which is super, super interesting and I think is really cool. So even though you may not be old enough to be in college or to have a career yet, think about the subjects in school that you like right now. And if it happens to be science and it happens to use all kinds of pieces of technology, then we're already learning about some of them right now. So keep paying attention, keep working hard, and all of these things will benefit you in the future. And I will see you next week for some really fun activities that you can do this summer because the school year is almost over. But I've loved making these videos with you, and I will see you next week for some exciting experiments for you to try at home. All right, bye, boys and girls.